What is going on, everybody? What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? Happy Friday! Happy Friday! Um, doing this a little bit earlier than I typically do here on these Fridays, man. Don't got too much time. I'm gonna watch Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight tonight. Gonna watch it with some people. So, gonna go ahead get this out of the way before that fight starts. I believe it starts at 8 with the undercard. Anyways, man, with that being said, um hope everyone's had a solid week. It is the weekend. We have made it to the end of another week. Feels so good to do so. And now it is time for another weekend of football. Always. The best weekends, the best weekends with football. So, anyways, man, with that being said, obviously disappointing loss this past Sunday. Would not I don't really want to talk about it anymore because I've talked about it enough. I've ranted about it enough. It's time to move on. One more game before the bye week. I really feel it, and it's flown by, man. I'm gonna be honest. It's flown by when you're having a good time and when you're having generally a good season, like the season has been. Listen, considering everything that we've been through, the past 7 years, this is the first season where this late in the season there is actual hope. We're still in the NFC South by 2 games with a tiebreaker over Tampa. We still are very much right in the thick of it in the playoff picture. But I still feel like, obviously it hasn't been perfect. And the bye week next week is definitely going to be needed. I can go ahead and say that right now. But anyways, with that being said, one more game to go. And traveling up to Denver this weekend to take on the Broncos. I'm going to just go ahead and say, first of all, before anything else, obviously, I don't make the NFL schedule. I know there's other people in charge of that. But when this game, ever really since, I first saw this schedule and I saw where this game was placed, it did not have it did not set right with me where this game was placed. Obviously, it's the final game before the bye week, week 11. It really didn't sit right with me. It is later in the year, and I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, it's going to be cold in Denver on Sunday. It is, and you add that in with, obviously that altitude. It's always a tough environment in Denver, but now you add on the cold weather. That's just an extra element. Obviously for a dome team, and it's not just that, man. Final game before the bye week. I just don't like where this game is placed. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I really don't like where this game is placed, and I'm gonna keep it real. I am. I hope my team wins every game. I've said this time and time again, but yeah, at some point you got to be real with yourself. And even in seasons like these, you still got to be real with yourself and temper expectations. I really feel like this is one of those spots you got to be real with yourself. But even though stating, obviously you hope your team gets a win. Now I'm going to say, I absolutely think the Falcons could go into Denver and beat the Broncos. I will say, I think that the Broncos are they a great team? No. But they're a viable team. They're a respectable team. Bo Nix has had a relatively good rookie season. Obviously, we do not like Sean Payton. And even though he is no longer with the Aints, if we are able to beat the Broncos Sunday, the biggest thing about it will obviously be sticking it to Sean Payton once again, because it's always good. It's always good to be able to stick it to Sean Payton. Whatever scenario, whatever way you can do it. Never you're able to beat Sean Payton, It is always a delight. But you kind of got to be real with yourself at the same time. I absolutely think the Falcons can win this game on Sunday in Denver. But, there's a lot of things I really feel like we got to think about this game. And I think the first one and the biggest one, the injuries. The Falcons are banged up. I mean, let's just be completely real. And any team who has had, literally with the exception of 2 games, every game they play be a 1-score game, yeah, you're gonna be beaten up, because that is high levels of competitive football, especially when you're playing those 1-score games. And look, the bottom line is this: when you're coming off a tough game versus Saints, you're gonna be beaten up. And you see it in this injury report. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and look at it right now. I mean, look, Kirk Cousins popped up on the injury report this week. Obviously, it's nothing to concern about. He'll be, playing on Sunday. But still, I mean, you saw Kirk Cousins pop up on the injury report this week. Right shoulder, right elbow. That right arm, that throwing arm, it needs some rest. Lorenzo Carter back at practice. Drake London with the hip injury. Tyler Algier popping up on the injury report with a quadriceps injury. Ryan Newsel, Drew Dahlman. Now, all of those guys, they look like they're ready to play. Darnell Mooney popped up on the injury report this week. Troy Anderson on the injury report again. Grady's still on the injury report. And then you look at all these guys that are not going to be playing on Sunday. D. Alford, Mike Hughes. Let me pull up all the guys that are not playing. These are our inactives. D. Alford, Mike Hughes, Antonio Hamilton. That is 3 corners. And we know damn well, more than anything, the Falcons with their defense have been relying on the secondary. And obviously, Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons are really what holds it together. But still, D. Alford being out, Mike Hughes being out, those sting. They do. Antonio Hamilton being out. Clark Phillips is going to have to step up in that situation. He's just going to have to. J.D. Bertrand out. Troy Anderson out. James Smith-Williams out. Charlie Warner, who's been so valuable in the run game, out. Taquan Graham out. This team's beaten up. There's no way around it. It's not making an excuse. It's not. This is what happens in the NFL. You get late into a year. You haven't had your bye yet. Yeah, you're going to be beaten up. That's the reality. So look, if the Falcons are going to, win in Denver Sunday, it's going to have to be next man up. That's what it sounds like. If the Falcons want a chance to win in Denver on Sunday, it's going to have to be a next man up situation. Clark Phillips, he's going to have to really hold his own. I really feel like as far as beyond this year, you definitely have it. You want to see him have a big showing Sunday. AJ's going to have to take care of business, keep things locked down. And guess what? Once again, the defense is going to have to, because even though Denver's offense maybe is not the top offense in the NFL, Sean Payton's a good coach. And Sean Payton, especially versus the Falcons, is going to find a way to draw up plays that work. So we need to consider all of that. And I really feel like if you're going to win in Denver Sunday, you're going to have to win with your running game. You're going to have to play this game kind of like how you played the game in Carolina, where you really are able to establish tone with your run game. You're able to get Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson both going a healthy amount. And that's how you win these types of games. It's going to be a cold weather game. It's an outdoor game. You have to win these types of games by running the football and having it work. Now, we saw Bijan Robinson have a big day against New Orleans last week. We know Tyler Algier can get going later in the game. That's going to have to be the formula. It's going to Falcons are going to stand a chance to win. You can't. Honestly, you really cannot put Kirk Cousins in a situation in this type of game, especially considering, even though he's going to be good to go, that right shoulder apparently does seem to be nagging him at least. You cannot, this can't be the type of situation you can put this game on his back. Now, Kirko's proven us wrong time and time again. He's won us games before. But I just don't think this is the type of game Kirk Cousins wins. I don't. It's a cold weather game. This is a game you're going to have to win with your running game. And if you fail to do that, you're going to have a tough time on Sunday. I'm gonna cut it like that. If you cannot get the running game going, you're going to have a tough time on Sunday. I really feel like as far as the defense, we're going to need guys to step up on defense. And Dorless, so we have playing on Sunday. He's going to have to play with all these injuries. Up on want to have to see guys make an impact on defense. But we know this defense, at least the front of this defense, they're not reliable. They're not. So I really feel like for this defense, it's going to have to be a matter of really holding Denver off the scoreboard as much as possible. That's what it's going to have to be. You cannot let Denver come out and dominate this game early. You got to be able to stay in this game for as long as possible. That's how it is. If you're able to gut this one out and you're able to keep fighting, you can absolutely win this game. But I really feel like that this is also going to be one of those games where you got to show that fight. You do. Because if you don't, you might be in trouble in this game. And I hate to, categorize this game as such, and it might sound like I am. I don't believe in any game being a throwaway game. I don't think that, you lose a game to lose a game and you're okay with a loss. But even if we are to lose this game, even though it would be a 2-game skid going into the bye, if there's any time where I don't think it can affect you for the rest of the year, I think it's this game. This is kind of one of those anomaly games. It is. Now, if you're able to win Sunday, it definitely tells something good, I think, about your team. It shows that they are resilient, and you definitely do want to see that going into the bye. It shows that if the Falcons win Sunday, this shows that they are absolutely a resilient team. If they don't, it kind of honestly proves what I still think about this team, which is, number one, this is an AFC game. And even though every game matters, an AFC game is not a game versus the Saints or a game versus Tampa or even a game versus Philly. An AFC game beyond, your overall record, it doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things. So, while even though you don't want to lose in Denver Sunday, if the Falcons lose in Denver, temper the expectations. Hold the horses. Because the bye week is coming up, and I'm telling y'all right now, this team, they need the bye week. They do. Now, I still think the Falcons can go into Denver and get a win because we've seen the Falcons get the running game going. We have. But if they don't get a win, It's honestly not like it's the end of the world. Yes, it will sting, but it's not the end of the world. Because regardless of win or loss, we need this bye, man. We do. I like where the bye is situated, and I really like where we stand coming out of the bye. Because I think our schedule post bye week, even though we got some tough competition on there, I feel good about it. But I really feel like for this game, you want to get the win, but the one thing you talk about it every game. You do not want to come out of this game with any serious injuries. That's what you want to avoid. So you can rest during the bye week and then come out for the final stretch ready to go. With that being said, the Falcons can still win this game, and I'm going to give you 3 keys to victory on how they can. Number 1, it's going to start and end with the running game. We're going to need this running game to take care of business. We're going to need Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson, and that O-line to really win the battle of the trenches. Second key to victory, guys are going to have to step up. You're going to have to step up on defense. I'm looking at Clark Phillips. I'm looking at a potential Brandon Dorlus making his NFL debut. Guys are going to have to step up and have a presence in this game, especially in the secondary. Number 3, and it kind of goes into the first point, but still, got to take that crowd out of it. You do. Listen, Denver, give credit to them, man. They got a passionate fan base, and when they get going, they get going. And obviously, that stadium, it's tough to breathe in that climate. It only makes it even more difficult for you to be able to operate when those fans are going. So that's honestly why I say I really feel like you have to get this thing going early with the running game if you're going to win on Sunday. I do. Got to get it going early with the running game. If you can do that, I absolutely think you have a good chance to win this game. Because Denver's not a world. Denver is not Kansas City. Even though they almost beat Kansas City last night. I'm going to tell y'all that too. Listen, how Denver lost that game versus the Chiefs. You don't think, especially considering who their coach is, I don't like Sean Payton. You don't think they're going to come out pissed off? You don't think they're going to come out ready to whoop somebody's ass? I honestly feel like this might be the wrong week to have gotten Denver. If we could have gotten Denver, say, a little earlier in the year, I honestly might feel pretty good about us being able to win. But the thing is, having to go out there the week after you head down to New Orleans, then you have to get back on the road. It's the final game before the bye. And listen, the expectation I have is that I don't think you're going to see the high level of intensity you saw in the games versus Tampa. I don't think you're going to see that, for instance. I think, I still expect this team to go into Denver and put up a fight. I do not see, as much as I think it stings to say, it's going to be tough to win this game. It's absolutely going to be tough to win this game. But it just kind of feels like things are working against the Falcons in this scenario. It does. But it's not like this is a game you cannot win. I will say that. It's not like this is a game you cannot win. I do not think this is a throwaway game. Listen, I'm excited for whenever my team can go out there. But I also think at the same time, this is a game where if you win, it's absolutely amazing. I do think it can tell something about this Falcons team. If they don't, obviously there's still things to work on, but the bye week's coming at a good time. That's the way I'm thinking. I'm not conceding to anything. because the game's got to be played first. But even if you do lose this game, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. But with that being said, I picked Denver to win. I do. I just feel like the things are working against the Falcons with all this team's beaten up. Just doesn't feel like the type of game that the Falcons can win. Maybe at full health, you feel better about it with some of those pieces in the secondary that really hold the secondary together. Sure. But even still, I feel like this team stands a chance to win if you can get the running game going early. But this is really a spot for Zach Robinson. He's going to have to stick with something. He's going to have a game plan. He's going to have to stick with it. You want to beat Denver? That's how you really have to roll. So I'm going to go ahead and say I don't see this being a real high-scoring game. I'm going to say 17-13 Broncos. It's hard to honestly say, with everything working against the Falcons, that they're going to come out and win. Now, I absolutely think it's possible. Look, we ain't lost to Denver since 2008. It can be a good and bad thing. Denver could definitely be due for a win versus us. But we have absolutely had their number in recent years. But with that being said, obviously it is look, it's one of those games. There's one or two games a year you do not feel good about. This is one of those games. Typically, I don't talk like this, but I've really felt the way about this game this entire time. I just do not feel good about this game. I do not like where it was scheduled. Obviously, the injury bug hitting the team this week. This team's going to be banged up. This team's going to have to show some resiliency. They're going to come into Denver and win. And that also goes into coaching. It's got to go into a game plan. All those different things that factor in. It's how it's got to be, man. But I absolutely think I'll say it again. I think the Falcons can win this game. I think the Falcons could honestly win any game on their schedule. But there's just things that work for them and work against them. And I really feel like with where this team is, they're going to have to prove me wrong this week. They are. I still honestly feel like the one thing with the Falcons that, is lacked is, winning in these tough environments. And obviously for a dome team, it's tough to win in a place like Denver with the high altitude. But it's one of those spots, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. We've seen times where this is a different Falcons team. This is one of those spots. Prove me wrong. Going to Denver, get a win, go into the bye week with momentum. But with that being said, I will see you all in the next one.